Hello folks, welcome back. In this tutorial we're going to look at animating the light that we set up in the last tutorial. Now to animate the light, just expand it here and expand its transform properties. Now before I do any basic movements of the light, I want to explain a couple of things. We've got the position settings here. Now you're probably familiar with those if you've done any basic moves in After Effects. But the one I want to draw your attention to is the point of interest. Now the point of interest is actually this little button here. If you grab it and move it around, can you look at what happens, folks, in the timeline down on the left? You can see that the settings and the position of the point of interest is moving, but the camera isn't. It's a little bit like if you stood in one position outdoors at night with a torch, you'd stand in one position and you'd be maybe moving a torch around and pointing it in different places. Where you're pointing the torch has changed, but where you're standing hasn't. So you can grab that little button of the point of interest and sort of point the light where you like. Now, however, if I grab the light itself and move it, have a look on the timeline and you can see that the position keyframes are moving, the position of the light is moving, but the point of interest is also moving with it. So let's see what happens when we animate it. I'm going to select a position keyframe, and as you can see, After Effects has automatically set a keyframe for the point of interest as well. It likes both to move together. So I'm going to move my time marker to 2 seconds, and you can see that as I move the position, it set a motion path for the position of the light, and it's setting a motion path for the position of the point of interest. The two are inextricably linked together. So if I just scrub through that, you can see that the position of the light's moving, but its point of interest is moving as well. Now let's just undo that, and I'm just going to take the time marker back to 0. I'm going to set keyframes again for position and point of interest. But on this occasion, when I move my time marker to 2 seconds, I'm going to hold down the Command key and then I'm going to move the light. Watch what happens. The position of the light's moving, but the point of interest isn't. And it's just worth noting that, folks. It may be that you want to point the light in a different direction, but you don't want to move where the light actually is. And if you want to do that, then hold down Command or Control on a PC and then move your light. The light moves, but the point of interest, as you can see, doesn't. I'll just show you what that looks like. There you go. The light's moving, but it's still pointing more or less at the letter G if you look on the right-hand monitor. Right, let's just undo that and let's just try a couple of other options. The other ones you might want to play with, of course, are the rotation and orientation of the light. Now, I don't want to do a big sort of discussion about the difference between orientation and rotation. If you want to know, I've left a tutorial about orientation and rotation in the 3D section of my channel, so have a look at that there. Now I'm going to set keyframes for X rotation, Y and Z. I'm going to take my time marker to 2 seconds, and as you know, you can do numerical changes down here in the timeline, so I'm going to just move the light up like so, and I'm also going to move the light, I'm going to rotate it, say, to the left. So you can do it numerically in the timeline here and here. Let's just have a look at the results. There you go. Some sort of simple rotating moves. However, it may be the case that actually you're probably going to find it easier to actually try and manually rotate the light. Now, if we're on our normal selection tool, which is here, we can't do that because we just, oops, apologies. All you can do is just grab the handles and move the light sort of left, right, and sort of up and down. If you want to rotate the light, click on here. And then, can you go here and make sure it's not on orientation, make sure it's set to rotation. And then, if I set keyframes for my rotation at 0 in the timeline, and then move to 2 seconds, if I now put my cursor here, I can actually start to rotate the light around. So instead of a selection tool, it becomes a rotation tool. Let me just scrub through that and you can see what's happened. So a little bit of sort of basic rotating and moving of the light. So just to recap, if you click on your selection tool like so, you can move the light up and down, left and right. If you want to rotate it, click here. Make sure this is set to rotation, and you can then rotate the light round as you wish. But as ever, folks, this is really a tutorial you ought to try once you've done the basics of understanding keyframing and animation in some of my earlier basics tutorials. Okay, folks, hope you found that useful. See you in the next tutorial.